Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the John Campea YouTube channel. My name, of course, is John Campea, and this is a companion video. Now, what is a companion video? I'm glad that you asked. You see, every day on the John Campea Show, and when I do some open mics, we take live questions. But oftentimes, we don't have time to get around to all of the live questions that get sent in. So, I want to make sure you guys know those questions get answered. So, I gather up those unused questions from every show, and I bring them here, and I address them on the companion video. So, we got a whole bunch of questions we got to get caught up on here. So, let's get things started right now with Bobby M., who writes, Netflix just confirmed a live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender show with the original creator. Your thoughts? Yeah, this came up, of course, last week. And, you know, there are some people, what I said at the time, because I did address this, but what I said at the time was, everybody's getting all excited that it's the original showrunners. The original showrunners are back. They're going to be working on this thing. And I said, okay, that's good. It is. It's good. But I want to offer two pieces of information just to temper the excitement, not to kill your excitement, don't get me wrong, but rather just to temper the excitement just a little bit. Excitement temperer number one. Neither of these guys have ever worked on anything live action. All right? Neither of these guys have ever worked in anything live action. They have zero experience when it comes to telling narrative storytelling in a live action format. And Brad Bird will tell you, doing animation and live action are two totally different things. There are some elements that are very much the same, but how you practically express those things is a very different ball of wax. So that's one thing. The second caution is this. When I said neither of them have never worked on anything live action before, that wasn't 100% true. They have both worked on one movie before that was live action, where the two showrunners of Avatar: The Last Airbender worked on. They were the executive producers of one live action movie. And that one live action movie that those two guys were the executive producers on was M. Night Shyamalan's Avatar: The Last Airbender. And everybody knows how that turned out. Now, I'm not saying there aren't differences between that circumstance and this. There are differences. I just want everybody to just temper their excitement just a little bit. Don't go getting too excited because you got a couple of guys here that are working on, yay, they've never done anything live action. And the one thing that they did participate in live action as executive producers was on one of the most universally hated movies of all time. Again, there are differences, but just keep those things in mind before letting yourself get too carried away with excitement. That was what I said at the time. That's what I'm saying right now. Stubble McShave writes, the Stan and Ollie trailer reeks of Oscar nominations. I don't know about that. It certainly looks good. I mean, and I've talked a little bit this week about the Stan and Ollie, of course, about Laurel and Hardy. The Stan and Ollie trailer with Coogan and John C. Reilly. It looks great. It looks great. I'm very excited about it. I don't know that it reeks of Oscar nominations, though. I don't at this point. Now, remember, we may see the movie and declare it the greatest film of all time. But as far as just the marketing goes and the trailers look good. But I'll be honest with you, the trailer, as much as I love it and as much as it makes me excited for the movie, it doesn't scream Oscar nominations to me. But it's just the trailer. Let's see the movie, but we'll have to see how that all kind of turns out. Stubble McShave follows up with, I'm not a typical fan. I'm old as hell, 38, and have followed you since the For Your Consideration days with Roth and Soul. Those are good days. For those of you who don't know what he's talking about, back in the day, this is after the movie blog, but before AMC. So after the movie blog, but before AMC, I was doing this video show with Roth and Soul and Dennis, and we called it For Your Consideration. And we did it from Dennis's apartment in Hollywood. I'll never forget that. So we didn't have a studio set up in Dennis's apartment. I just, like, every week I would bring a bunch of my gear over, and Dennis would have a bunch of his gear there, and we'd set it up every week, do the show, and then check out. But those were good days. That was a lot of fun. And then, of course, For Your Consideration, we stopped that. I started working for AMC, and then eventually I got video shows going on AMC. I started that by calling it For Your Consideration, but then we morphed that into movie talk, and the rest is history. I can't think of a good username writes, some people are complaining that Captain Marvel is a feminist movie, but we had 20 male lead MCU movies before. This is something that I have had the unfortunate opportunity to have to bring up in online debates a number of times, and I have never once gotten a proper reply. You know, people will say, Captain Marvel movie and a Wonder Woman movie. Hollywood's feminist agenda. Right? And then I go, okay, so just so I'm clear. 2 female-led superhero movies in the past year and a half equals anti-men feminist agenda. Yes, we're not going to be happy till the straight white man is pushed out of the way. Okay, just to be clear, 2 movies featuring female superheroes as their leads equals anti-men pro-feminist agenda. Yes. Okay. Let's take that logic and let's just walk it through, shall we? Because if 2 movies in the last year and a half with female leads equals anti-men pro-feminist agenda, if you take that logic and follow it through to its conclusion, what does that say about 20 straight white male superhero lead movies in a row? Because if you're going to say 2 female-led superhero movies is anti-men pro-feminist, okay, let's take your logic. Then the logical extension of that reasoning is to have no other conclusion but 20 male-led superhero movies in a row clearly indicates an anti-woman, keep women down, pro-male agenda. No! Hey man, I'm just using your logic. If you're saying 2 movies in a row equals this, then 20 movies in a row has to equal that times 10, right? No! Well, then explain it. And then at that point, they stop replying. I seriously, I've had that debate 4 or 5 times online of, okay, big anti-whatever agenda, pro-whatever agenda. Okay, explain 20 movies in a row using your logic. You don't get to pick and choose when you apply your logic. Apply your logic and tell me how it works out. And then they just stop replying. They never reply after that. Why? Because there is no logical reply to that. I've said this before, I will say it again. We are not in an era where there is an agenda. There is an agenda, but follow me here. We are no longer we're not in an era of an agenda of a pro-feminist, pro-minority agenda. No. What we are in is the ending of the agenda to keep minorities and women out of the spotlight. That's what we're in. We're in an era where we are stopping the agenda to keep minorities and women out of the spotlight. We're not in an era where there's an agenda, a feminist agenda, a minority agenda. No. We are simply finally growing up to the point that we are saying enough of the anti-women agenda and enough of the anti-minority agenda. But the thing is, we have been so steeped in this decades and centuries long agenda to keep women and minority in their place, that includes in Hollywood, that now that we're ending that agenda and we're seeing more minorities getting opportunities and we're seeing more women getting opportunities to write and direct and star in big projects, it feels like such a tectonic shift that we're like, this is some big anti-men, pro-women agenda. No, it's just ending the agenda that kept women in their place to the tune of having 20 straight MCU movies, 18, 19, 20, 21, whatever. I'm just rounding out 20 MCU movies in a row. And we're all just, no, status quo, keep it like that. It drives me nuts. It does. It drives me nuts. So anyway, just my thoughts on that. Stephen Cobb writes, love the show. Thank you so much, Stephen. I appreciate that, man. Mike Thompson writes, Why are people getting so worked up over Venom and Godzilla's PG-13 ratings? What will they do when Mary Poppins is an R-rated? Well, I mean, to be fair, Mike, to be fair, there is a difference between your, let's say, mature content expectations from a Godzilla and Venom than there is to a Mary Poppins. So, to be fair, there is a difference between what your adult content expectation is from a Mary Poppins and a Venom and a Godzilla. My point that I had been making the whole time, and sure enough, there is a large body count in Venom, and there's a hell of a lot of violence. It's just that no gratuitous blood, no sexual stuff, and not a lot of profanity. And that's fine. Like I've been saying for weeks now, I'm not going into Venom wanting to see boobs and hear the F-bomb drop 20 times. That won't make it a better movie. You know, and that's what the R rating is given most for these days. The R rating isn't given mostly for violence. Mostly these days it's for sexual stuff and for profanity. And it's fine. I was never going into a Venom expecting a lot of sexual stuff or a lot of profanity. As long as you're able to take that PG-13 rating to its edge with its violence, and Venom does do that, then it's perfectly fine. And I think you're seeing now a lot of people, now that Venom's in theaters, a lot of people are seeing it and they're not so worried about the R rating thing anymore. I can't think of a good username, writes, what if some of the dusted characters are Skrulls? Well, I mean, follow the logic, right? Half of all life in the galaxy got dusted. Half of all life in the universe and beyond got dusted. Therefore, it stands to reason half of the characters who are dusted are Skrulls. Now, if you're asking specifically, what are some of the characters who dusted specifically on camera in Avengers Infinity War are Skrulls? Well, what if? I mean, it doesn't change anything. I don't think any of them are, but except for maybe Maria Hill. Maria Hill may be a Skrull. That's the one I'm open to the most. But otherwise, yeah, half the Skrulls, I'm sure, in the universe got dusted as well. Thomas Lunn writes, you can forget watching one movie to relive the feeling you had the first time watching it. Which movie and only one? Oh, that's simple. That's the easiest thing in the world, Star Wars. The original Star Wars. No questions asked, no problem, no hesitance. No hesitancy whatsoever. It is the first movie I ever remember watching. It is my earliest childhood memory, and I was just a wee little thing when I saw that, and I don't have another memory until like 4 or 5 years after that. But yeah, Star Wars, beyond anything else, Star Wars, man, easy. Eric Grathwall writes, do you enjoy Mystery Science Theater 3000? Mystery Science Theater 3000 is a little bit hit and miss, but it's a lot like South Park. Mystery Science Theater 3000 is like South Park in the sense that there are installments that are just dumb and are not funny. But oh my God, when they hit it, they crush it. Like South Park, yeah, they'll have some episodes, it's hit and miss. But holy crap, when South Park hits, it's not just funny, it's hilarious. When Mystery Science Theater 3000 crushes one, they crush it. Like I've gone to the theater a number of times to watch the Mystery Science 3000 guys, and like again, when they crush it, they crush it. So I will say, even though they are a bit hit and miss, yes, overall, I will say I am a fan. Technovine writes, DD, I assume you mean Daredevil Season 3, October 19th. So awesome. Netflix, yes, they dropped that, of course, last week. When a lot of us were expecting it to come out in December, maybe even in early 2019, and Netflix drops the word, hey guys, in just a couple of weeks, Daredevil Season 3 is coming. Got us all really excited. I like pleasant surprises like that. Let's see. Nikhil Shirsat writes, after watching Ant-Man and the Wasp, I feel it should have been called The Wasp and Ant-Man. It was Evangeline Lilly's movie. Thank you for all you do. You're the best. Well, thank you so much for that, Nikhil. I'm going to disagree with you, though. I thought Evangeline Lilly was great in the movie, but it was... And the title of the movie is not Ant-Man 2. It's Ant-Man and the Wasp. So it's supposed to be both of them. But I would make an argument it is still Ant-Man's movie. The movie starts with Ant-Man. The movie ends with Ant-Man. And really, for the most part, the whole story is really told from his perspective and his point of view. Wasp, Evangeline Lilly's character, is a massive presence in the movie, clearly deserving of the co-headline in the title. But again, the movie starts with Ant-Man, the movie ends with Ant-Man, and the whole thing is really told from his perspective. I gotta say, if you had to say it was one of their movies, it's Ant-Man's movie. It's Paul Rudd's movie. But hey, it's all up to your perspective and how you saw it, but that's just the way I saw it. Thanks for writing that in, man. All right. We Are Rip City writes, what's up, John? Do you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Unfortunately, yes, I do. Do you have hopes for a lot of awesome S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff in Captain Marvel, especially with younger Coulson? Well, look, you got to understand where I'm coming from. I watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because I'm a sucker for comic book stuff. So I keep watching it. But you might make the argument that this is a good piece of evidence that I secretly hate myself because I hate Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think it's awful. Not every single episode. They have put out some episodes, like episode 100 was actually really quite good. But for the most part, I think their show is terrible. And I'm convinced I'm only watching it for 3 reasons. One, because it's comic book related stuff, so I'm a sucker for it. So I keep watching it, hoping it'll get better. Number 2, and maybe the biggest reason, is Clark Gregg. Clark Gregg is great. I love him. And he's great as Coulson in this show. And if it was just him doing monologues as Coulson every episode, I would probably enjoy it even more. He's awesome, and I love him. And Ming-Na's great in the show, too. And those are the 3 reasons I keep watching, even though I do not like the show. I'm hoping they keep the amount of S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff to an absolute minimum as much as they can. Focus on Coulson, focus on Fury, sure, but keep all the other S.H.I.E.L.D. nonsense out of it as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, that's just my feeling on that. And a lot of people get mad at me when I talk about that, but I wish I could say I love the show, but I simply don't. I think it's a pretty bad show, but that's just my opinion. Not as bad as like Iron Fist season 1, not as bad as Inhumans, for heaven's sakes, but pretty bad. Mike Thompson writes, maybe Ivan or Ivan, as they call him in Rocky 4, maybe Ivan Draga, maybe Ivan and Rocky will have a human moment. This came up the other week. I remember somebody brought up a question that, do I think they'll make, Ivan Drago's son, who is going to be fighting Creed and Creed 2, obviously, do I think they'll take steps to make the son more human than, say, Drago was in Rocky 4. And I said I really doubt that they will, mostly because they did not hire an actor to play Drago's son. They hired a professional fighter who looks amazing and is going to make the fight stuff look great, but I do not believe they're going to let him do any heavy lifting as far as acting goes. So really human moments, real humanizing moments, I really don't know that they're going to do that with this kid because he's not an actor. He's just not an actor. Maybe he'll be an actor someday. But, for the most part, basically, he's not an actor. And the types of scenes that, we're talking about to really humanize the characters, I think that takes a little bit of acting girth, Now, could they maybe do something more between Ivan and Rocky? The trailer doesn't look like it. The trailer doesn't look like they're going to go there, but you never know. It is certainly possible. So, yeah, let's keep our eyes open to that. Maybe they'll go there. I saw the latest trailer again. It's like, oh, my God, I cannot wait for Creed 2. That looks so good. Santez Hernandez writes, Daredevil 3 in October 19. Love Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock. I mean, I think we all do. Charlie Cox is great in this role. He's fabulous. Daredevil is the best television Marvel stuff ever. I think it's even better than Punisher, and I love The Punisher with John Bernthal. I love The Punisher, but I think the first 2 seasons of Daredevil is the best stuff we've ever gotten out of Marvel on television, and very excited to see what they do with season 3. Stubble McShave writes, have the increase from 5 to 10 Oscar nominations for Best Movie resulted in a lower prestige for the nominated movies that didn't win? Interesting question, and I'm going to say yes. I'm not suggesting the increase of nominees from 5 to a maximum of 10. Because remember, they don't do 10 nominees every year. It's a maximum of 10. It can go up to 10. We've had years with 8, with 9, stuff like that, but it can be up to 10. Do I believe that is taken away from some of the prestige of a Best Picture nomination? Yes. Yeah, it has. It just has. The more available something is, the less valuable it is. Look, let's put it this way. Let's get in terms of Pawn Stars. You guys ever watch Pawn Stars? I'm sure a lot of you guys have. How many times have we seen on Pawn Stars where somebody comes in with an item and it's a great item and it might even be old, like an old great item, right? Like this is I don't know, I'm just making something up here. A 1941 penny that actually accidentally had the number 2 stamped on it instead of the number 1 for 1 cent. It accidentally had the number 2 on it. Oh my gosh. I mean, that sounds amazing. That sounds like an incredible piece, right? But what then happens? You have Rick go, yeah, this is great. It's wonderful. I mean, they've never made a mistake like this, blah, blah, blah. But Rick will then say, they actually ended up printing over 1 million of these before they realized their mistakes. There's over 1 million of these out there. Therefore, the worth of this goes way down. The basic thing is this. The more something is available, the less prestigious it is. Right? The more something is available, the less prestigious it is. To use a sports analogy, it's an incredible honor to win your division. But 4 teams win their division every year, depending on the sport. Only 1 team every year wins the championship. The least available thing is the more prestigious and the more valuable thing. With exceptions, but generally speaking. It used to be that only out of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of films that get put out every year, only 5 could get one of those coveted Best Picture nominations. There's a prestige to that, just like there is for only 5 for Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Supporting Actress, Best Director, Best Screenplay, yada, 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 yada. When they increased it to a maximum of 10, and I'm not saying that was necessarily a bad move. Don't misinterpret me. But when they increase it from 5 to 10, suddenly it's not as prestigious. Suddenly now, more people have that nomination than used to have that nomination. And yes, I would argue that that brings the prestige level down a bit. I'm not saying it kills the prestige, not at all. There is still a lot of honor and prestige that goes along with having a Best Picture nomination. Out of the hundreds of films that come out every year and only 10 get nominated, there's still a high degree of prestige there. I'm not saying there's not. All I'm saying is that the prestige level has come down a little bit. Just because you've literally potentially doubled the amount of people who get that honor. When you double the amount of people who get that honor every year, it brings the honor of it down just a little bit. So, yeah, I still think it's incredibly prestigious, obviously, to have a Best Picture nomination. Absolutely. But is it as special? No, Stubble, I would say it's not. I would say it's not. And again, I'm not saying they should change it back. I think there are other benefits that come along with 8, 9, 10 nominees instead of 5. It broadens the amount, some really, really deserving films getting one of those nomination spots. I mean, it makes it a little bit more interesting, all that kind of stuff. I think there are good things about the expansion to 8, 9, or 10 nominees. But one of the drawbacks is that it does lower the prestige level a little bit. So anyway, that's just my thoughts on that. What do you guys think? Jump down to the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. All right. Eli the Creative writes, why did Kevin Tsujihara visit Affleck at his home? I mean, first of all, lots of people went to go visit Ben Affleck at his home. Also, don't forget, Kevin Tsujihara and Ben Affleck have been co-workers and working together very closely for years and years and years and years. I mean, Warner Brothers was really the home for Ben Affleck for a lot of years. They know each other personally. They've worked together closely. They have all this kind of stuff. And they have another film coming out together. Warner Brothers wants to do The Accountant 2. Everybody forgets about that. It was just so funny to me that Kevin Tsujihara goes to visit Ben Affleck, which a lot of people did. It's just that they're not all Kevin Tsujihara and don't get their pictures taken on TMZ. But everybody saw Kevin Tsujihara, and they automatically think, that means he's Batman again, which would be awesome, but no, I doubt it. And everybody seems to forget that they've already announced that they're working on The Accountant 2. They're supposed to be making The Accountant 2, which I love, because I thought the first Accountant, shame on everybody for not more people going to go see that first Accountant, because that first The Accountant with Ben Affleck and John Bernthal was fantastic. I loved that movie. And I did not think they would do a sequel in 100 years because it did so bad at the box office. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it was a total flop. It wasn't, but it didn't make anywhere near the kind of money it should have made. That movie was great. So, yeah, I think it's just all those things rolled into one. Why did anybody go to visit Ben Affleck? Well, they've known each other. They've been friends for many years. And on top of that, they got a movie they're supposed to be making together. So that's why. Sebastian writes, have you ever had to take a pee during a live show? Yeah, sure. I mean, not usually during one of my 1 hour or less shows. But certainly like in commentaries, when I be shooting a commentary, or, one of the marathons or something like that. But again, even every little once in a while during a live show, I realize, man, I really got to go to the bathroom. However, since my shows are usually only roughly about an hour long, it'll be like maybe halfway through or 3/4 way through the show that I'll go, wow, I got to go to the bathroom. But by that point, I only got like another 15 or 20 minutes I got to hold out. So it's not that big of a deal. Abdul Abbas writes, is PTN or Paul Thomas Anderson a versatile director? Interesting question. I would say yes. Now, normally when we talk in terms of versatility of a director, me included, I do this as well. We're talking about, can he do comedy and sci-fi and a period piece and a political thriller and a drama and a romance, and that's what we're usually talking about. Paul Thomas Anderson doesn't have that type of versatility or diversity on his film repertoire. However, it's not like all of his films are the same. Like, for instance, you take Inherent Vice. That is a totally different movie from There Will Be Blood, right? Those movies are night and day from each other. You take There Will Be Blood, it is a totally different movie from Boogie Nights. There Will Be Blood and Boogie Nights are two completely different types of movies. Boogie Nights is a completely different type of movie from The Master, right? So while I would say that Paul Thomas Anderson doesn't have what I would traditionally call versatility of the director, and the fact that he hasn't done comedies, sci-fi, political thrillers, this, blah, 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 across the board, I would still venture to say that I do find him to be a pretty versatile director, because when you look through his filmography, a lot of his films are radically different from each other with totally different feels and tones. So, does he have the diversity of a Steven Spielberg? No, clearly not. But I would still say he's a pretty versatile director. Rohit Mukundan writes, might just be me. Deadpool 2 would have been funnier if he just died at the end and then they've just made a third film anyway. No, that's not funny, because then the joke doesn't get made until 3 years later. But then that's not funny. It becomes funny a year and a half later when you announce Deadpool 3, but even then it's not funny, because every superhero dies and they come back. Hell, every character from The Snap and The Dusting is coming back. So, I mean, really, it wouldn't have been much of a joke anyway. Abdul Abbas writes, have you seen his movie, The Master Act? Yes, I have, with Philip Seymour Hoffman, Joaquin Phoenix. I believe Joaquin Phoenix got a Best Lead Actor Academy Award nomination for that, and we were just talking about The Master. So, yes, a very good movie. Abdul follows it up with, and where the hell is Tom Hooper and David Fincher? Well, Tom Hooper... for those of you who don't know, Tom Hooper is a director, and he is one of the best. One of the best. He was the director, and I believe he won Best Director at the Academy Awards for his film, one of my favorite films of the past 15 years, called The King's Speech, with Colin Firth and Geoffrey Rush. And Colin Firth won Best Actor, I believe, that year as well. And it won Best Picture. It's an amazing film. Absolutely amazing. If you guys have not watched The King's Speech, watch The King's Speech. It is just a masterful narrative storytelling job by Tom Hooper. Incredible work. He hasn't done a hell of a lot lately, but he's still been busy. He's been working on, what the hell is that TV show he's been working on? It's not The Expanse. It's another show. He's been working on a show. And also he's developing a theatrical version of Cats. You know, one of the most famous Broadway shows of all time. Right now, Tom Hooper is working on Cats. David Fincher has also been busy lately. There are still rumors, these on-again, off-again rumors that he's trying to get World War Z 2 going. There have been a lot of reports that he's off, then reports that he's back on. I don't know where that stands, but clear whether he's off or on right now, he's put a lot of work into that. But on top of that, he's one of the main creative driving forces between Mindhunter, which is a great show on Netflix. And he's directed a hell of a lot of the episodes. He's one of the creative forces behind that show. And their season 2 should be coming up here pretty soon. Anyway, so he's been very busy with that. So not super prolific, either of them, but both of them are staying busy. Artie Gaming writes, are you concerned that we haven't seen a teaser for Holmes and Watson yet? Well, obviously this question came in a couple of days ago. But again, I would say no. Look, John Wick dropped its first trailer less than a month before that movie came out. As of like a week ago, we were still 3 months. We were still 3 months, or at least a couple of months. We were still a couple of months away from Holmes and Watson coming out in a very crowded area, and they just didn't have... No, I honestly don't know why people get concerned about... A trailer coming out early or late says nothing about the movie. It doesn't say anything about the movie. All it says is it's a commentary on their marketing strategy. Now, the Holmes and Watson trailer came out, but it looked awful. I mean, I think the trailer was terrible. But look, a good trailer company can make the worst piece of crap look like a great movie. Hell, look at the Transformers trailers. They're always top-notch. And the movies have sucked. I mean, anybody can take 2 minutes and make a movie look good in 2 minutes. Easiest thing in the world. I mean, for those professionals. Very, very difficult for any of us, but... So, no, I never felt any unease. I remember, I said if we get to the end of October and there still wasn't a trailer, hey, I might start to wonder if maybe they'd be moving Holmes and Watson. But at no point did I ever get worried about the movie itself, just because a trailer hasn't come out yet. Means nothing. Ash here writes, the Dark Phoenix tease has got me damn intrigued. Yeah, you know what? I didn't love the Dark Phoenix trailer, but I thought it was solid for a first trailer. Remember, these first trailers are not designed to blow our socks off. Sometimes they do. The first Aquaman trailer blew my socks off. I loved it. But a lot of times now, the first trailer for a movie is just a little introduction. It doesn't even tell you much about the movie. It doesn't show you a lot of the meat or anything like that. It's just a little introduction. I think we saw that with Captain Marvel. I think we're seeing that with the X-Men trailer. So I thought they were solid for first trailers, but nothing to jump up and down about, to be honest with you, at least not me. Where I get really intrigued is second trailers. Second trailers are the ones that I kind of know if this is a movie that's going to excite me or not. Right? For me, it's the second trailer that I start to get a sense of whether or not I'm going to be excited about this movie or not. Is usually from the second, because that's the trailer that usually tells us what the basic story is, gives us a little bit more introduction into what the tone of the film is going to be and all that kind of stuff. It's usually the second trailer. So I didn't get damn intrigued with the first X-Men trailer, but I thought it was pretty good. It's pretty good. But I want to see that second trailer. So that's what I'm excited to see. John DeBenedict writes, Star Wars Episode 10 through 12, written and directed by John Campea. No. You know, it's funny. A lot of people, and I know this isn't what you're trying to bring up, John, but let me bring it up here. Some people go, oh, this guy should direct something because he really knows that material. Who cares if he knows that material? Just because you know material doesn't mean you have any skill as a director. There are very few people in the world. I think it's safe to say I know Star Wars better than most people in the world. All right? If I walk into any room that's got 1,000 people in it, maybe 2 or 3 in that room will know more about Star Wars than me. Because, I mean, and the same would be true of you. If you grew up and your earliest childhood memory was about something and you've been lifelong obsessed about that one thing for your entire life, chances are you will know more about that one particular thing than most other people in the world. I'm the same way. I know more about Star Wars than most people. Certainly not everybody, but most people. That doesn't mean I'm a director. That doesn't mean I should be going and directing Star Wars films. And it always makes me giggle a little bit how much we as movie fans don't seem to understand that concept. Nobody knows Dragon Ball Z better than this guy, so he should direct a Dragon Ball Z movie. Yeah, but this guy's not a director. He's never directed anything just because but he knows Dragon Ball Z. So what? That does not mean he knows how to direct. I would rather have a director who knows nothing about Dragon Ball Z, but is a great director and knows how to tell a great story. When given a decent script, he knows how to take that and translate it to the screen. I would rather that than a guy who knows everything in the universe about Dragon Ball Z, but doesn't even know which way to point a camera. You know what I'm saying? That's just my kind of feeling on that. That's just how I kind of feel. So it does make me giggle a little bit when I see it. And I'm sure I'm guilty of it too, and you're probably guilty of it, and it's something we all probably do. But yeah, but no. Neither I nor anybody else on the planet wants me directing. I, as a film fan, do not want me directing a Star Wars film. So let's be clear about that. All right, guys. That will do it for this installment of the companion videos. Thank you so much for joining me. Hey, listen, if you're watching this thinking, hey, there were still some more. There are more. I've got a whole bunch of other companion videos that I still need to do, but we got this one out of the way. Now we're on to the next one. Thanks a lot for joining me here, guys. Don't forget, I'll be back again on Monday morning with the John Campea Show, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That is 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you guys come back and join me then. That'll do it for me for now, guys. Thanks a lot for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until my next video, bye-bye.